To close out the show here in Western France at Circuit du Val d'Argenton, it is the DD2 and the DD2 Masters final. Let's take you through the starting grid. So it's going to be an all-Dutch front row, courtesy of Martin van Leeuwen and Enzo Bol. David Altlechner and Lucas Pernaut round out the top two rows, followed by Maxime Shurko and Maxime Dirks in row number 3. Leonardo Baccaglini and Ville Villainen will be on row 4 with Philip Moitzi and Victor Frostbay on row 5. Jakob Bezel and Peder Bezel, row 6. Row 7, Kenny Guerra and Axel Sarniala. Carl Gustav Borgard and Mats Johan Overhoff round at the top 16. Martinez Tankevicius promoted to the race victory in the pre-final. He starts on DD2 Masters pole on 17th. Following him will be Jules Cousin, Nicolas Picot, Sebastian Schul, Tim Stipitz, Dennis Thum, Nicolas Guillaume, Michael Becker, Christophe Capitain, Patrick Snolls, Lockmalis, Jimmy Chaumier, Igor Mukin, Tony Hogg, Mads Lees due to start 30th ahead of Manuel Tenschert and Rasmus Vendelbo. So, they are primed and ready for our final race. Are we ready? Are we steady? The revs will start to rise now. Lights go out first time. Great start by the pole sitter as Van Leeuwen leads the field into clubhouse for the first time. Enzo Bol slots over behind the Dutchman into second position as they filter their way through clubhouse, and someone's gone grass tracking already. And that was one of the Standpec of the SP Motorsport kart. Someone else is having a little bit of a off-track excursion. That was Leonardo Baccaglini. Might have been Axel Sarniala possibly that went over the grass. And there's a bit of a scrap happening for third position because David Altlechner has got Lucas Pernaut and Maxime Shurko right with him. Maxime Dirks is there. So is also the 421 of Philip Moitzi. It looks like it was Baccaglini that did have a couple of drops of position. But after the opening lap, it's Van Leeuwen that leads the way. Bol in second, Altlechner third. Fourth, it is Pernaut, Shurko, Dirks, Moitzi, Villainen, Baccaglini, Victor Frostbay. They round out the top 10. Nicolas Picot has got the lead and is currently P15 in DD2 Masters. Field now makes its way up towards turn number 4 once again. And Lucas Pernaut has dropped down to 6th position because he's been passed not only by Maxime Shurko, but also just going through down the back straightaway into turn number 5. That was Maxime Dirks that got through on him. So the field makes its way through turn number 8 and up towards Piff Paff and now through Dunlop. Van Leeuwen now knows that at this particular moment, what will happen is that he is going to have a fight on his hands, and he's got some of the youngest competitors behind him, 2 of which make up 2nd and 4th position. So they go down the back straight away once again. Three behind oh, and that was a big moment for Lucas Bernal, and into the side of him goes Vili-Villainen. Two wheels into the air and he gets clattered into, and that has caused a chain reaction. So Vili-Villainen out of the race. Lucas Bernal, that is one of the KSCA, it's one of the Sodi karts, and also one of the Sheepers racing karts. Was that Nicolas Guillaume that got caught up in the crossfire? He's gone out under his own steam, and that is 4 out. Looks like that was Tim Stipitz that got involved, that was involved in there. It was Guillaume that was the second of the Sheepers racing karts, and the clear frustration from Tim Stipitz was clear to see. And now all 4 drivers will have to watch by the sidelines as Van Leeuwen continues to lead the way. Bol still holding on to second, but there has been a change for third. Keep your eyes on the 4-3-5 Maxim Shurko from Lithuania. And he's closing again. Remember what happened in the pre-final. Shurko had the pace. And the thing is, with over 3.5 minutes of this 14-minute final completed, there is no gap to the tune of 2.7 seconds that someone needs to close. That gap is now half a second. So it's only a case of when, not if, does Maxim Shurko get past Enzo Bol for second place and then goes hunting after the 4:03 from the Netherlands. Outleichner has got some clear area in front and behind him. Now on to lap number 5. So far we've had a non-starter from Mads Rees. Tim Stipitz, Nicolas Guillaume, Vili-Villainen and Lucas Bernal out after that multi-cart incident on lap number 3 coming out of turn number 6. And Shurko is within earshot. He's within lunge range of Enzo Bol. Right up close, going through into the braking zone. Into turn number 5 was the Lithuanian. Don't count Outleichner out of this either. He showed what he's capable of back at Karting Genk back in mid-April this year. Some further changes. Mats-Johan Overhoff, who started 31st in the pre-final, started 16th in this final. He is now in a genuine 11th place. He's ahead of Axel Sarniola by just over 0.6 of a second. And what's more, Mats-Johan Overhoff has just set the fastest lap of the race, 51.996. After that incident at nearly 120 kilometers an hour that curtailed his heat stay, he now has come back, and he's come back hungry and wanted to really showcase his speed in a DD2 kart. His initial thoughts behind it was to get some training again with the front and rear braking system on a DD2. And that was for Project E20, which he competed in at Karting Genk. And now Shurko is closing. He's waiting for his chance to strike. We are 45 seconds away from half-time in this final here in DD2 and DD2 Masters. Nicolas Picot, in the meantime, is 14th and leading the classification in the Masters side of things. And he has only got, well, you know what? He might have a fight on his hand, because behind him he's got Carl Gustav Borgard, who in turn has got the number 533 of Martinas Tankevicius just behind. Then they've got the likes of Patrick Knowles, Lochmelis. Dennis Thum in the 577 representing Germany is also in that train. But down out of Dunlop come the drivers in second and third position. And Van Leeuwen sets another fastest lap of the race. He's now started pulling away. That gap is now 1.3 seconds and climbing. He was exactly 2/10 quicker than Enzo Bol, and nearly 2/10 quicker than Maxim Shurko, who seems to have a slight edge on the 410 from the Netherlands. But at the moment, with the temperatures having increased significantly since the pre-finals earlier on today, has that caused a little bit of a differential? As there goes Carl Gustav Borgard up the inside of Nicola Pico. There is Martinez Stankovic, just calmly waiting. Looked to plant his cart on the outside of turn number 8, but now he's up the inside of Pico. That's for the DD2 Masters Class lead. He's got through. Stankovic is through on Pico's home soil. But the Frenchman is not going to give that one up without a fight. I can guarantee you that right now. That's for 15th overall, and more importantly, the class win in DD2 Masters. So Stankovic does have an opportunity to take a victory here in the final. The Pico was right on his back bumper, right on his case, within 56 thousandths of a second, and now the change for second has happened. Shurko now P2. Enzo Bol not willing to give up that second place without saying something about it. 5 minutes to go, plus an additional lap, and Martin van Leeuwen has done it again. He's checked out, he's 2.2 seconds up the road. What can Shurko do now? He's got to start pushing. He's got to start pushing, but that depends on whether the machinery underneath him or the tyres contacting the tarmac underneath are going to respond in kind. Last time out, we did see him pull a significant gap over Enzo Bol. Van Leeuwen's lead now 2.1 seconds. All right, there's a little bit of activity with Maxim Shurko in the fact that he's just put in his personal best of the race. 51.866 seconds. And what's more, there's been more developments in DD2 Masters. Dennis Thulm has now gotten past Nicola Pico and is in second in the classification for DD2 Masters, currently running P17. Stankovic is currently 15th. So at the moment, Martin van Leeuwen has the fastest lap of the race overall, a 51.847 second lap time. Still have 27 drivers out of the 32 that were due to start. We've got just under 3.5 minutes to go. Shurko is still lapping at around about the same pace as been shown by Martin van Leeuwen. They're literally lapping within 11 thousandths of each other at this particular moment. Philip Moitzi from Austria has had a pretty good run in this race. He's currently P6 behind Maxim Dirix, but he's got behind him Victor Frostbay and Italy's Leonardo Baccaglini. So this could be a little bit of a dogfight into the dying moments of this race. 2 minutes 40 plus an additional lap still to go. And the response is starting now with 2.5 minutes to go. Maxim Shurko responds to Martin van Leeuwen with a fastest lap of the race, 51.750 from the 4.35. Moitzi coming under pressure from Victor Frostbay, heading into turn 4. And Frostbay was looking to the inside. Moitzi defends. Now that's going to bring him back Baccaglini, but Frostbay up the inside through turn 6 on the 4.21 from Austria. Nearly opened both the barn doors very, very wide indeed for Baccaglini. But Baccaglini just did not want to go through with that maneuver because otherwise that could have taken himself and Moitzi out at the same time. Another fastest lap of the race. Maxim Shurko, 51.648 seconds. It gets the differential between him and Martin van Leeuwen down to just over 2. Rasmus van der Boot, unfortunately, will retire from the race from 27th position on lap number 13, meaning Igor Mukin from Cyprus is the last runner and rider out of 26 still circulating, coming down to the last minute and a quarter. Van Leeuwen has won 2 of the 4 races that have taken place so far up until this point. So we're going to have we're going to have this plus 2 more laps to go. Lap 16 underway as Van Leeuwen now has a lead of just over 2 seconds. Maxim Shurko is quicker than Martin van Leeuwen, but it is not enough. It cannot be thousandths of a second. It needs to be tenths. It needs to be north of 3, 4, maybe 4 tenths, maybe even half a second. Because on finals day, when Martin van Leeuwen is on his A game, once again he proves it that you cannot, you have to go all guns blazing. You've got to get yourself in the right position at the right time. And by being on pole position, it was exactly what he needed. And that was for both the pre-final and the final. 8 seconds to go, 7. 2 more laps remain. And as Martin van Leeuwen goes through the Exeter Clubhouse, timer expires. Maxim Shurko's just responded with one of the best laps so far this weekend in DD2. He's put in a 51.432 from Maxim Shurko, but it is not going to be enough. That gap is now down to 1.8 seconds. He's pulled away comfortably from Enzo Bol, just like he did in the pre-final. It was it was over 2 seconds, the gap between Enzo Bol and Maxim Shurko in the previous race. Shurko getting a post-race penalty, demoting him back down a few more positions to start 5th, as opposed to what would have been 2nd on the road. Last lap board of the weekend is out. Changes for position happening at Dunlop, in particular between 2 Sodi carts. Van Leeuwen now making his way through into turn number 3 for the final time. What a Sunday it's been for this driver. 24 years of age, based out of Zolder, one of the nicest guys you could ever want to meet. And when you put him behind the wheel of a DD2 and he shuts the visor down, you get a completely different individual altogether. He was one of 3 different winners yesterday, which included Carl Gustav Borgaard and Belgium's Maxime Dirks. But it's time to celebrate as Martin van Leeuwen out of the final corner. He wins the pre-final and the final on finals day. What a job by the Dutchman. Flying away from the rest of the field with the greatest of ease, winning by 1.769 seconds. Well done to Maxim Shurko from Lithuania, rounding out the top 2. Enzo Bol started on the outside of the front row, finished in 3rd place. David Altlechner and Maxim Dirks complete the top 5 positions in this final, ahead of Victor Frostbay, Philip Moitzi, Peter Bezel, Jakob Bezel, and rounding out the top 10, Axel Sarniala. Leonardo Baccaglini would finish 11th ahead of Mats Johan Overhoff, Kilian Gerhard, Carl Gustav Borgaard, and Martinas Tankevicius picks up the victory in the final, representing Lithuania in DD2 Masters in 15th. Patrick Snows-Lochmelis in 16th, ahead of Dennis Toom and Nicolas Picot, who ran up the top 3 in the final for DD2 Masters. Christophe Capitan and Sebastian Schul ran out the top 20. Manuel Tencher, 21st, ahead of Jules Cousin, Jimmy Chaumier, Michael Becker, Tony Hogg, and Igor Mukin, rounding out the 26 runners and riders that completed all 18 laps. Rasmus van der Boot pulled the cart into the pits on lap number 13, and unfortunately, the 4-cart incident just coming out of turn number 6 on lap 3 meant the retirement on the spot of Ville Villainen, Nicolas Guillaume, Tim Stipitz, and Canada's Lucas Pernot, with Mads Ries opting to not start.